The Governor of Guam has defended the use of nuclear weapons and long-range missiles on the territory and says it's needed in order to promote peace in the Pacific region. It's an interesting position considering Pacific leaders are creating a Pacific zone of peace and have treaties which forbid the use of nuclear weapons. Guam's Governor Lou Leon Guerrero is gunning for associate membership at PIF and hopes the other two US territories, Northern Marianas and American Samoa, follow suit. She says their aim is for full membership for all three territories. Alicia Foon is in Guam and spoke with Lou Leon Guerrero about the territory's plans to join the Pacific Islands Forum and asked her to explain the reason behind the military build-up and missile testing.
I came into office 5 years ago. I was visited actually by SPC, and they said, "Hey, Governor, you guys have been members but haven't been, paying." So we said, "Oh, yes, we want to continue being members." The whole issue here is that we are Pacific Islander. We're part of the Oceania. And we're more connected to the Pacific Islands than anyone else, right? Or anywhere else. We're more connected because of where we are geographically located. And I think we are the most developed Pacific Islander in the Northern Pacific. I haven't seen much of the South Pacific, so I can't own that. But for the North Pacific, I think everyone is agreeable that we are way ahead, developed in everything, infrastructure, health, education, so forth. And so we feel very, very strongly that we can contribute to helping improve the quality of lives of all of our island brothers and sisters throughout the Oceania, not just North Pacific, but South Pacific also.
Ultimately, what would you like to see in terms of Guam being at the decision-making table?
I want to be a full member of PIF. That's my goal.
And the United States has officially allowed this to happen too?
The United States was not aware of any of this until we started applying for associate membership. A delegation came out here from PIF to do a total assessment, and their report is recommending that we become members. I read their report. Yeah.
The ocean is a really sacred space for Pacific people. So
right.
The leader of Fiji, Sitiveni Rambuka, at the last Pacific Islands Forum said, "We want to create the Pacific region as a zone of peace," which is a direct conflict with what is happening with the ramping up of military activity on Guam. So
I don't necessarily agree with that statement, because I'll tell you this.
Would you say the zone of peace?
Guam is the only U.S. soil that was invaded and occupied. And we were not at peace for about 3.5 years. We were in fear for 3.5 years. So we know what it's like to be not at peace. We are a very peaceful people.
When you say invaded, who are you saying invaded?
By the
Guam?
Japanese
By the
forces.
Japanese, okay.
Yeah, World War II.
Okay.
In World War II. And the U.S. came and liberated us. And as a result, you'll see in the islands that people are very patriotic. But I'll tell you, we're not patriotic where we're just laying flat and say, "Okay, military, come in and take over our land." No. Yes, after the war, they did that because they had to rebuild the island, right? But they compensated landowners. They worked with the landowners, and they've been here for so long, since 1898, after the Spanish-American War. We are very much for peace. We are very much for peace. Sure. You have to balance out what you are, right?
Would you consider long-range missile testing and the ramping up of military activity, and Guam being one of the largest storage places for nuclear weapons, as peaceful? And is that
I consider that as ways and measures to maintain peace in our island. And I know exactly the challenges of militarization. I know that. I'm very familiar with all of that. But I'll tell you this, right? If they just get up and leave right now, we will be worse off in terms of peace, because I certainly don't want our people to be under Chinese rule. And that is very, very real threat here, Alicia. It is a real threat. I mean, North Korea every other week sends missiles out this way, right? So the bottom line for me as governor is, how do you weigh and balance peace, protection of freedom, democracy, and all of that, right, over here, with the threats of the geopolitics out here? And I certainly believe that it can happen.
From a perspective of the Pacific region, Pacific leaders in New Zealand, they will be looking at Guam, trying to understand what's happening. There's military build-up, and climate change has been the main threat that leaders have talked about. However, they are concerned that the Pacific region is becoming more of a target and a magnet for nuclear warfare. Are you concerned that more missiles and more testing could be a threat to Pacific neighbours in the Pacific region? Could this be the start of, God forbid it, but say World War III?
The start of World War III is going to happen regardless whether there's nuclear attraction or all of that, really, And the comments about this attracts then nuclear, we're already here in Guam because of where we're at. We are an attraction to conflicts. The Spanish, the Japanese, right? Now we're seeing conflicts with China and Taiwan. We're close by to Taiwan. Taiwan is a close ally of ours. We are close allies with the U.S., right? So we are already an attraction.